Hey everyone, welcome back to Cooking with You. The star of today's show is Enoki mushrooms. They may seem a bit intimidating to cook and eat, but these mushrooms are super versatile. There are many dishes you can make with them. You can stir fry them with garlic, put them in soup, or even use them in hot pot, but today I'm going to show you how to make enoki egg pancakes as well as enoki beef rolls. The ladies who demoed the enoki at the supermarket recommended not washing them in order to keep their flavor, but you can rinse underwater and pat them dry. When picking your mushrooms at the store, try to pick mushrooms with solid white stalks. If the stalks are starting to turn brown and fuzzy, it means the mushrooms are probably too old. They should also have a nice white cap. When comparing these two packs of enoki, the package with the smaller mushroom caps has nicer, fresher stalks. The other pack has larger, nicer caps, but the stems are just starting to turn brown, which means that they will not have as nice of a texture. To prepare your enoki, lay them flat on your cutting board and cut off the woody stem. I'm cutting around 1.5 inches from the bottom. Set that aside and separate the enoki stalks. I try to keep them in small bundles to stay more organized. Then you want to pick out any browned earthy bits from between the stalks. Make sure you thoroughly check between the stalks because the earthy bits don't just stay at the bottom of the stalk, and you want to remove them because they give off a bitter flavor. Now we can move on to the egg pancake batter. I've cracked 2 eggs into a bowl and I'm adding a half teaspoon of salt and about a teaspoon of sesame oil. Lightly beat your eggs until everything is completely mixed together. For some extra flavor, I'm adding scallions to this pancake recipe. Thinly slice your scallions and put them into the egg. You can also cut up some extra scallions to save as a garnish at the end. To add some texture and nutritional value, I'm adding some shredded carrot. Since these pancakes are pretty small, I like to keep my carrots thin in order to create balance. You can either use a grater, or if you're like me and you don't have one, you can use a vegetable peeler and shave off small pieces of carrot using short downward strokes. Rotate the carrot in order to get narrow strips. If you don't have a peeler, use a knife to thinly slice or julienne your carrot. Add those to your egg. For the pancakes, I'm grabbing a few small bundles of enoki and cutting them into roughly 1-inch long sections. I like to cut my enoki super small for these pancakes because it makes them easier to bite into, and I really enjoy the little bits of crunch spread throughout. Put those into your egg as well. Once all your ingredients are in the bowl, mix until everything is evenly distributed. You might have to work a bit harder to break up the enoki stalks, but it's really worth spreading everything out evenly. Now we're ready to cook the egg pancakes. I'm heating up my pan, then drizzling in some vegetable oil. Once my oil is hot and the entire pan is coated, I'm using a spoon to put my pancake batter in the pan, and also using the spoon to flatten the ingredients and shape them. Make sure your pancakes are spread out and try to leave space between them. One way I like to test if my pan is hot enough is to use my spoon and drop a tiny drop of egg into the pan. If it starts cooking immediately, the pan is hot enough. You may also notice that I'm using a large pan with very high walls. This prevents oil from jumping or splashing, and it makes general cleanup a lot easier. When the edges of the pancakes are cooked and one side starts to brown, you can flip them over and continue cooking. All the ingredients in this recipe cook super fast, so you only need to cook them for a few minutes and make sure you don't burn anything. Let the other side cook and brown, then we're ready to set the pancakes aside and make the sauce. For the sauce, I'm heating up 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, a half teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of water, and 1 teaspoon of sesame oil in a smaller pan. I find that using a smaller pan is more efficient and wastes the least amount of ingredients. Once that's bubbling and brought to a simmer, you can remove the sauce from heat and put it in a small dish. I would recommend making the sauce while your egg is cooking, or even before, so that your pancakes don't get cold. After plating the egg pancakes and adding some optional garnish, this dish is ready to be served. The Enoki and egg pancake is super healthy, but can be quite bland on its own, so the sauce is great for a kick of flavor. Now let's move on to the Enoki beef rolls. I'm starting off by thinly slicing garlic. This will be used both in the beef rolls and as a garnish. To fry the garlic, I'm heating up a small pan on the stove, then adding a generous amount of vegetable oil. We want enough oil so that the garlic will get nice and crispy, but I'm also going to reserve the garlic oil at the end and use it in other parts of this recipe for a richer flavor. Once the garlic is in the pan, you want to spread them out and make sure they are all lying flat in the pan. Stir to prevent sticking as well. When your garlic takes on a light golden brown color, you can remove it from the heat and set it aside. I tried to drain as much oil from the garlic as possible using my turner and poured the remaining oil into a small bowl for later. For the enoki, I'm going to use full-length stalks. I've separated them into 6 even bundles to make the wrapping process easier. I'm wearing disposable gloves because I hate handling raw meat, but gloves are a great way to keep this process sanitary. Today, I'm using sliced beef rib eye that I got at a Korean supermarket. It was relatively inexpensive and great quality, and when you buy beef for this purpose, you want to look for marbling. I like to choose slices that have less fat, which makes them healthier but still not dry. After it thaws, lay the sliced beef flat on a plate. Season with salt and pepper, preferably before putting on the gloves, and you can also lay down some of your fried garlic before placing an enoki bundle at the end of your slice. Start rolling from one end, making sure to tuck everything in tightly, and dab some cornstarch mixed into water at the end of the roll to seal it. I'm trying my best not to tear the beef, and I've decided to add some green onion into some of the rolls as well. You could definitely keep them plain. They'll still taste great. And with that, your beef rolls are ready to cook. Both the enoki and the beef have really short cooking times. If you overcook either, you run the risk of them becoming tough and chewy. After heating up my large pan, I'm putting in some vegetable oil and spreading that evenly. Put in your beef rolls, making sure to leave space between them. Put the lid on the pan and let them cook while covered for 1 minute. Once that minute is up, the cooked side should start to become browned. Carefully flip your beef rolls and cover them up for another minute. I really wish you could smell this through the camera. It smelled so good that I wanted to eat the beef rolls right away. After that, you can remove the lid. And if there are any uncooked spots on the beef, you can flip the rolls and give those areas a few more seconds to cook. Once everything becomes a uniform color, you can remove the beef rolls from the heat and move on to the sauce. You could use store-bought teriyaki sauce for these beef rolls, but I'm going to make my own sauce. I'm putting 3 tablespoons of water, half a teaspoon of dark soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch in my small pan. I'm also adding pepper to my liking, and sometimes I add a half teaspoon of oyster sauce for stronger flavor. If you want to skip the oyster sauce, you can stick to soy sauce and adjust to your taste. Once the sauce bubbles and thickens, it's done. Garnish your plated beef rolls with fried garlic, add some sauce, and they're ready to enjoy. The prep for these 2 dishes is super short and simple, but the product is very nutritious and honestly very delicious. I hope you try out both of these recipes, and take care.
Sorry, Mom, it's really